not filmed in a very, 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 very long time. Let me rephrase that. I have not posted a video in a very, very, very long time, which I'm not gonna spend too much time getting into too many things. Just know that I was having a tough time with it, and I was having a tough time with reading. And this past month, I worked really hard on kind of just getting into the habit of reading again, getting excited about reading again, just kind of, I guess, making it really fun for myself again. And I would say it worked because I read 9 books. 9 books in the month of July. So we are going to come back to YouTube with a good old monthly wrap up and hopefully continue on this journey of reading a decent amount of books in a month. To me, this is a lot of books in a month. We all know the people that are like, I read 30 books this month. That will never, ever be me. If I could read like 8 to 10, I'd be super, super happy. No, if I read like 6 to 10, I think I'd be really, really happy. I think 6 is like really good. Something about like 4 or 5 just doesn't seem like a lot to me. Like, okay, you read a book a week. That's not a lot for me. If I read a book for more than a week, that means I'm bored. So anyways, let's hop on into all of the books that I've read this month. Last month. First up is a book that I actually can't even believe that I finished, because I read this book, I think I started it like almost a year and a half ago. Kingdom of the Feared. I read the first 2 books of this trilogy in the beginning of last year. I really loved it, especially at the time I was like newer to fantasy. I just had a good time. And then I started this book like immediately after because I couldn't wait to get to it. I got like 100 pages in or something like that. And I said, you know what? I am enjoying this, but it's not hitting right now. I'm reading too many fantasies back to back. I need a break. So I took a break, and that break lasted, yeah, a good solid year, I think. So then I said, well, I feel like I'm never gonna get to this book now, and I'm not even gonna remember what's going on. So I need to start it over. So I'm just gonna audiobook it and start it over and at least get to where I left off to kind of refresh my memory. Well, I started listening to the audiobook and then I got bored and I stopped, and some months went by and then I was like, I actually don't remember anything that I remembered. So then I started it over again, and then that happened again. And then I said, Morgan, finish this damn book, dude. I swear to God. I forced myself to listen to this audiobook, and I have to say, I think that the audiobook ruined the experience of this book. I think I would have enjoyed it more if I read it, but I unfortunately just could not force myself to do it. And I don't know why. I'm actually kind of having a very similar experience with the book I'm reading right now. And I don't know if anybody can make sense of it, if it's just me and my crazy brain. But it's like, I'm enjoying these books and I'm enjoying these stories, but for some reason I can't get through it. And I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just a timing thing. Maybe it's a mood thing, but sometimes you have to kind of just like read the book, because it's like I'm literally gonna forget what's going on. So rating this was really challenging. I think that the book community is like very serious about giving books star ratings, and I'm just not. Like, I don't know, sometimes I think it's not as simple as that. But I think I did end up giving this like a 3-star, because again, I was like, I feel like I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the trilogy. I'm glad I read it. I'm glad I'm done with it. And I think that this book is a decent book. I just didn't give it a good chance. And oh my God, don't listen to the audiobook. I thought I was not an audiobook person until I listened to other audiobooks and enjoyed them. And I was like, oh no, this one just literally I'm sorry if you liked it, or if to the narrator or whatever, but like I literally hated it. It was a big monumental moment for me to finish this book. I was so happy to just be done with it. Next up, I read Archer's Voice, because yeah, I had never read it before. It was one of those that's like, dude, you need to read this book. And oh, I really loved this book. I feel like, I don't know, yeah, it was just sweet and it was a good time. I thought I was going to be more emotional in this book, and I wasn't like crazy emotional. Did I give this 4 stars? We have to consult the Goodreads. I'm also not like a big half-star type of person. I'm kind of just like, I don't know, again, I don't take my star ratings that seriously. I'm sorry if you like need star ratings, but I gave it 5 stars on here, which means it must have been like a 4.5. I literally just said, I don't really give half ratings. Like, yeah, it must have been a 4.5. I know I didn't actually rate this 5 stars, but I put it 5 stars on Goodreads. So I think, yeah, I was leaning more towards the 4.5. Now looking back, I would say it's probably more of a 4. I didn't really continue to think about this for that long after I read it, but I did really love it. Yeah, I see the hype behind it. I see why it was so popular, why people loved it so much, and it just, I really liked it. I loved it. Next up, I feel like I actually can't even look at this book. I have chills. I have chills. Oh my gosh. I read Powerful. When I tell you, I sat down on this couch. I literally have chills right now. I sat down on the couch and I read this book and I did not move until I finished this book. It is a novella. It's, I think, like 200 and, dude, I don't even know if I could look at the last couple pages. It's around 200 pages, but it's also very small. It's an itty bitty book, so like if it was normal size, it would be less. If for some reason you are unaware, this is a novella that comes after Powerless by Lauren Roberts. The most insane thing about Powerful is that you go into the story knowing what's gonna happen. My delusional ass the whole time was like, maybe it won't, maybe it won't, I don't know, like maybe that won't happen. I was just in love with this story, and listen, in life I'm a crier big time. When it comes to books, I will typically like get teary-eyed, like maybe I'll shed a tear or two. The only other book I have actually sobbed at was Magnolia Park's Into the Dark. When I read that, I was like, this is the first time I've actually like boo-hoo-hoo, sob, bawled my freaking eyes out to a book. This was the second time. I cried so hard, and then that day when my boyfriend came home and I told him about it, I was laying on my bed like bawling. Like I couldn't, the emotional turmoil that this took on me, because I was just so invested. Like it was just, I feel like everybody I've seen talk about this is like, yeah, I loved it, it was perfect, but I just never give novellas a 5-star. And I was like, yeah, I get that. I don't care. I gave this 5 stars because, again, for a book to have that much of an emotional effect on me says a lot, I think. In this, you have to read Powerless first, but if you've read Powerless, like, and Powerless is great. I love Powerless. Lauren Roberts is just, I don't know how she's 21. That blows my mind. Next up, I keep forgetting what I've read and I look over and I'm like, oh yeah, Bride by Ali Hazelwood. I mean, also it's because like for some reason the beginning of the month seems like forever ago. Anyways, I read Bride by Ali Hazelwood, which was my first Ali Hazelwood book, which is like a bold call, I think. Like that's and I don't know why it's like none of her other books really got me excited until this one came out. I don't know what that says about me. It was one of those more that like I was intrigued. I was like, what is everybody talking about? Why is everyone freaking out? And the thing that everyone freaks out about, again, maybe there's something wrong with me. I didn't think it was that bad. I didn't think it was that weird. I was like, this is it? This is what we're all freaking out about? But I actually did enjoy this. What did I rate this? I don't remember anything. 4 stars? See, this is what I do, is I finish the book and I'm like, oh, I had so much fun. I'm gonna go into Goodreads and I'm gonna update it and I'm gonna give a star rating. And then like, I never think about the book again, and I look back and I'm like, I gave it 4 stars. Literally last night, I was looking at my stack of books on my dresser and I was like, I don't even remember anything that happened in Bride. Then when I was thinking about it, I was like, oh yeah, I do. Like I did like it. I did have fun. But like 4 stars, I don't know. That seems a little bit bold. Maybe I need to stop rating things so quickly. I would say a good like 3.5. Like I have nothing bad to say about it. I had a good time. I just didn't really like think about it after. I would recommend it if you're curious about it and you're well prepared about what's gonna happen in this book. I don't know, I forget, what is it even called? I don't even want to talk about it, I don't think. I think it's a if you know you know type of situation. I thought it was an easy read. I thought it was a fun read, and I'm sure I will read more Ali. Actually, I do have another Ali Hazelwood book. So again, bold way to start, but you know. Next is Better Than the Movies. I feel like this is another one that like people have raved about, people love. Again, fully see why. A little young adult romance would just like hit so good sometimes. Like it's just so lighthearted. It's just a good time. It's not that serious. Like I really, really loved it. I think I gave this probably like 4 stars as well. My only beef with this book is that the chapters are so long. One of the chapters was 60 pages long, about high schoolers going to a basketball game. That chapter could have easily been 3 chapters. I'm like, okay, well, there was a perfect break. There was a perfect break. Why is in a young adult rom-com 60-page chapter? That is insane. Even if it was like a fantasy battle scene, I'd be like, okay, this is pushing it. But that's really my only beef with the book. I had a great time. I'm really curious to see with this second book coming out. It just feels like there shouldn't be a second book coming out, but definitely loved it. I'm gonna take my Barnes & Noble sticker off first. All right, next up we have Reckless. I feel like I have a lot to say about this. So this comes after Powerless by Lauren Roberts. We have Powerless, then Powerful, the novella, and then we have Reckless, which recently came out. I have seen a lot of people talk about this book, review this book, and I feel like everybody kind of has the same thing to say. After the first book, it's like, you cannot freaking wait to read this, you know? First of all, Peyton and Kai, absolutely love them. The banter, the tension, everything, the storyline of the first book, love. We all, I mean, obviously you can't say we all love it, but like, you know what I mean. So yes, I feel like this was very highly anticipated for so many people, myself included. I feel like the consensus of the reviews I've seen is like, when you start the book, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy to be back in this world. And the banter, and Kai, and Kai, and Kai. And then Kit shows up and you're like, why are you here? Go away. And then we're back to like, Kai, you know? He really does make me blush and like kick my feet. Anyways. And then you get through, you're going through the book and you're like, there's literally not a plot. And it is kind of like, the vibe of like being on a journey and things go wrong just solely so this book has some sort of conflict to resolve. It does kind of feel pointless, and then the only thing that keeps you going is like the banter and the tension and the dynamic between Kai and Peyton. I definitely agree with that, although I don't think it bothered me as much as it bothered other people. I definitely found myself about like, I'd say maybe like past the halfway point of this book being like, okay, I'm kind of bored, like why do these things keep happening? But then Kai would say something and I'd be like, never mind, I'm invested again. I gave this like a 4 stars. I feel like we're all wishing this was a 5-star. I haven't seen anybody rate this 5-star yet. And yeah, I don't know what I expected from this book. It definitely wasn't bad. It was definitely a good time. It was definitely character driven. Definitely not a lot of plot going on. I'm excited to see where the final book takes us. I really just wish this didn't end the way that it did, but I feel like I feel that way about most books in a series that end up on a cliffhanger. It was still good. I don't know if like that was all kind of like unnecessary yapping. I don't know really what else to say. It's hard because I feel like it's so easy to be so critical of that book, comparing it to Powerless and Powerful and the hype behind it and the excitement behind it, but at the end of the day, it still is a really good book. I still really enjoyed it. So it's just really easy to sound like overly critical when I'm not trying to be. Oh, Finale. This was another one of those that I honestly, I listened to it on Audible because I really just wanted to finish this trilogy. Again, I think this is a book that I would have probably enjoyed more if I sat down and read it. I really have just been wanting to finish this trilogy so I can move on to Once Upon a Broken Heart. I think I gave this like a 3-star. I know that people have read Once Upon a Broken Heart first, kind of like knew how this one was gonna end, so I'm really excited to see where the next kind of storyline takes us. And obviously I know Jax is a big deal, and I'm curious to see how they're connected. I'm glad I finished this. I'm glad I read this. I think the Caraval trilogy is a really fun one. I really loved the first book and I gave the second and the third 3 stars, I think. But I'm really glad that I read it and I had a good time, or listened to it, I guess. Audiobooks count as reading. I don't care what anyone says. Next up, we have A False Start by Elsie Silver, which is the final book in the Gold Rush Ranch series. This was kind of like the month of finishing series, huh? Because Kingdom of the Feared and Finale. I mean, Reckless, it's not the last book, but it's the last book that's out, and this is the last book of the series. I've been really kind of trying to like finish series that I'm reading before moving on to the next one, which is kind of why I was like forcing myself to like get through these books and like listen to them, because yeah, I really need to finish more series before I start new ones. This is the final one. I really liked this one. I think overall the Gold Rush Ranch series is just not as great as the Chestnut Springs. I mean, Chestnut Springs is elite, and I have really high hopes for what is it called? The Rose Hill series. I feel like you can just tell that these are Elsie Silver's first books. They are great. They just don't, Chestnut Springs hits different. It's like you're reading like a small town cowboy romance kind of vibe, just like lighthearted rom-com, but there's something about them that makes them so much better than any other book in that same genre. But I feel like this series falls right like in line with every other book in that type of genre, which is not a bad thing if you like the cowboy romance vibe. These are great. I just don't think that they're anything like crazy. I think across this entire series, I've given every book 3 stars. I give a lot of books 3 stars because to me, that's like, I read the book, I had a good time while I was reading it. I don't really have anything negative to say about it, but I'm also not going to continue to really think about it. It didn't change my life. I had a good time and that's about it. And that's how I feel about literally this entire series. So to me, it was really important that I read Elsie Silver's backlist because I love her. Now I'm caught up on Elsie. Oh my gosh, another finished series. One thing about me is I am not a Knock 'em Out fan. I'm sorry. When I read Things We Never Got Over, it was right in the beginning of my reading journey. So I could have read anything and I was like, I love this. And especially at that time, I was really persuaded by other people's opinions of books, and so many people loved that book that I was like, oh, well, I must love it too because everybody loves it. So I don't know how I'd feel about it if I read it now. It took me a long time to read, what is that called? Things We Hide from the Light? Is that the second book? And when I started reading that book, I was like, oh my gosh, I love these characters. I'm so excited to be in this world again. And then I kept reading and 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 I kept reading. And the book still wasn't over and they still hadn't even kissed. And I'm sorry, why are these books so long? I just feel like with the Knock 'em Out series, it's like, okay, we have like a cute, fun little small town romance rom-com, and then like let's throw some like weird random mystery crap into the mix just to have more of a plot. I don't get it. I don't get why we keep talking about the same shit in every freaking book, but I'm sick of it. I can be sick about it because I'm done. So funny enough, I did also listen to this because I really am trying to be more of an audiobook girly because I will be able to complete more books that way. And this is one of the few books that I feel like I liked it more because I listened to it on audio, because I could just kind of have it playing and I don't need to pay attention to every little detail. I don't have 18 years to read this book. Why they are so long, I will never understand. And I know that this book got a lot of criticism, and I liked it more than I thought I was going to, I'm not gonna lie. My problem I'm realizing with Lucy Score, I don't remember who I saw say this, but it made me laugh so hard, is that like she's just kind of like millennial cringe. Technically I'm a millennial. Technically I'm at the last couple years of millennial territory. I don't identify with them, okay? You can really just see it the way that it's like a, oh my god, I literally can't live without my coffee kind of vibes. And like there was this one scene where Lucien was like trying to get information out of Sloane or trying to get her to talk about something. I honestly don't even remember what it was. And she was all, I'm not talking about this with you. Like, I'm not telling you anything. Like, I don't want to talk about this with you at all. And he's like, I have a soft pretzel. And she was like, damn, you got me. And spilled. I'm like, really? You so badly didn't want to tell him anything but a soft pretzel. That'll do it. That, I don't know why that felt so millennial to me. I don't know, just certain things like that, I'm just like, what? Sloane was insanely cringe to me, and Lucien was just like, I feel like his character is just so, it's gone too far with the, oh, I'm so rich and I have so much money and I'm powerful and I can't have emotion because I'm rich. I think I just went too far with that. Anyways, overall, the Knock 'em Out series, not a fan. With that being said, did I give this book like 3 stars? Yeah, because again, when I was listening to it, I was like, okay, this is fun. I'm having a good time, like whatever. But I'm literally so glad that I'm done with this series. And like, I'm sorry, but I really don't ever want to read a Lucy Score book again. That's how I feel. I also read By a Thread, not a fan. I just don't think me and Lucy, I don't think we vibe. And that's okay. That's okay because I put in my time. I put in my time and it wasn't a bad time. It just, I'm sure you get what I mean. I don't need to keep elaborating. So these are the books that I read in July. Let me know if you've read any of these books, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. If you disagree with me, that's okay. We don't gotta get mad about disagreeing about book taste. It's not that deep. And I am going to continue with the reading vlogs and getting back into the swing of things on YouTube. So if you like books and you've liked me so far, don't forget to subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, and do all those types of things. That is it for me. I will see you guys in my next video.